YTBC, what's the deal? I'm gonna switch it over real quick, man, and talk about basketball. People have been asking me my thoughts on Steph Curry. Before I get into Steph Curry, just let me say this: he is an excellent shooter. You know, you can put him up there with the greats, Bird, Nowinski. There are a lot of guys, man, that you can say that, you know, guys that, you know, can heat it up. Dale Ellis, his father, Dale Curry. Mark Price was a good shooter. Reggie Miller. I mean, we can go on and on, you know. Bob McAdoo had range. We can go on and on with shooting, right? But let me just say this. People saying he's the best shooter ever. And without even bringing up those all-time greats, there are some guys I thought that can shoot the rock just as good. Now, maybe it was at a lower level of basketball, but when I'm just looking at shooters, guys that can shoot, Steve Alford he was able to light it up too. Damon Bailey. I can go on and on, but just at a smaller level though, man. And I'm gonna bring up a name from the past, and I remember watching this dude on ESPN, the Big Mondays, and early in the afternoons in the late 80s, early 90s. And one thing that sticks out to me in my memory about college basketball, man, growing up as a kid, was when I was watching Chris Jackson. He changed the name to Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf. I mean, of course, you know, Steph Curry's in the NBA's won a title as MVP. So you look at that and you say, well, how the fuck can you compare him to some dude, Chris Jackson? But for those of you that don't know Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf, Chris Jackson, this dude could shoot, man. I can't remember I want to say it was Florida, and he dropped about 50. I remember this guy as a kid, man. Like, I remember a lot of boxing. I can remember a lot of Lakers, Celtics, Bulls, you know, but in college, it was Chris Jackson, man. I lived in the Midwest. So we couldn't get all of the LSU games, but sometimes we will get those games. We got a lot of the Gophers games and the Big Ten games up here, but when we did get the LSU games, this dude was like dropping 40. I remember one time they played UNLV. I think he hit like 40, but he did it so easily against Anderson, Hudd, and Greg Anthony. The dude can go through his legs, pull up around his back, crossover, pull up. I mean, it was so smooth, so buttery, man, the dude had a feathery touch, and his release was the quickest release I've ever seen. And I think it's quicker than Steph Curry's. That's just my opinion. I mean, this dude, although it was college, I think his freshman year, he averaged like 32 a game, and he was shooting like 48%. He was a monster, man, as far as just shooters off the dribble. I'm talking about off the dribble shooters, guys who can create their own shot. Chris Jackson was right there. I know, you know, it's at a different level. And even when he got to the league, he was still a good shooter. And I'm just going by eye test. I'm not so much going by numbers. Just this is like an eye test video, man. But just from what I've seen, Chris Jackson was right there, man, in my humble opinion. And I give a lot of credit to Steph Curry and what he's doing. But Chris Jackson was like a 30-point-per-game average guy at LSU both years. He couldn't catch Pete Maravich's records at LSU, but for modern day, Chris Jackson was the man. And then I know he had Shaq, and he played with Stanley Roberts at the same time. I think he had Shaq for 1 year when Shaq was a freshman, and he still averaged like 28 points a game on that team. I mean, I don't know, man. For some of you hoop heads, what do you think about the Chris Jackson? You know, I could be way off, man, but just the eye test from what I remember, yo, Chris Jackson had a torch, man, off the dribble too. I mean, I remember he would come down and he would have the ball in his right hand and go through his legs and catch it with the left and pull up. He did it. It was like that was his move and nobody could stop it, but it was so fast. And like right when he passed half court, he had dudes stumped like on there. I remember they played UNLV that year. Greg Anthony, Anderson, Hunt didn't know what to do with this dude. But what Steph Curry doing is crazy right now in the NBA. You know, last time, I don't have all the stats in front of me, but I know a few days ago he was like at 33 points a game and like 48% or like 47% from three and 53% from the field. He's putting up crazy numbers right now, man. I'm not even going to go far with the Jordan. People putting him in there with Jordan and all that. I'm not going to do that, but he is dancing on people, though. When he gets past half court, man, he literally has dudes going backwards, not knowing what to do. He can finish with the left at the hoop. He's not going to go over the top on you at the hoop. He's not like a Westbrook or how Steve Francis and Baron Davis were back in their, you know, they little heyday. Even Iverson. He's not that type of guard, but Kind of has some of the similarities is Chris Paul, but he's a better shooter than Paul, man. He's better finisher than Paul, in my opinion, with the left, with the right. This dude can come down on 2-on-1 fast breaks and pull up for three. Deep threes. I'm talking about 7-8 feet behind the 3-point line on 2-on-1 breaks. I've seen this dude pull up for three, and then mid rotation of the ball in the air, the dude to turn around and start running back. I mean, this motherfucker can shoot his ass off, man. Now, at a lower level, just, you guys know I play basketball and, you know, Division I recruited. I've showed all them letters and stuff on my channel before. I was a 2,000 point scorer in high school. I averaged 28 points a game my senior year. You can type this in Google. My name is Julian Greer. You can type that in, it'll pop up. All right. Scored over 2,000 points, grabbed over 1,000 rebounds in high school. Now, I know this is at a lower level. I know, but just follow me. I kind of know what these dudes are going through guarding Steph Curry. Not because of me. There was a dude we lost to 2 years in a fucking row, man. This was 98-99 high school season. We lost 2 years in a row to this team, Holy Angels. Holy Angels had this dude named Troy Bell. All right. For those of you who don't know who Troy Bell, he played for Boston College. He is the second all-time leading scorer in Big East history. I believe Lawrence Moulton for Syracuse is number 1, and I think Troy is number 2. I know he's the Boston College's all-time leading scorer. He was Player of the Year in the Big East 2 years in a row. Only players to do that were Patrick Ewing, Rip Hamilton, Chris Muller, and Troy Murphy. And I know one of the years he beat out Carmelo Anthony for Player of the Year in the Big East. So I'm not talking about some scrub. And he was 2003 draft. He was picked 16th by the Memphis Grizzlies. But I remember when we were in high school, man, I was averaging 28 a game. Now, that's a lot, right? Troy was averaging like 41 a game. This dude, man, when he got past half court, it was the same thing I'm watching what go on with Steph Curry. Like, defenses just don't know what to do. Now, with me, I was a good scorer, 28 a game. But it was like I wasn't that type of threat, though. I was 6'5", kind of a slasher, athletic, putbacks, run the floor. I can hit mid-range jumpers. But I wasn't like how this shit was, where it was like you get past half court and you literally have to D up. Troy was it's just like when I'm watching this. I mean, pulling up from deep 3, 6, 7, 8 feet behind the 3-point line, make 90% from the free throws. And Troy's about 6'1". And I know during that draft of 2003, he finished first at the combine and all the athletic, the bench press and the high jump and all that. He finished first. This dude was a dynamic athlete when we were in high school. I mean, we were all good athletes, but it was like a Steph Curry type thing, though, with the shooting, though, man. And this dude was just lights out. And it wasn't a high school thing, obviously, because he went to the Big East and was doing the same. I remember watching some of those games when I didn't have games or practices in college. I would try to, I'll watch them because they were on ESPN. I'm like, it's the same shit he was doing last year in high school. And this is what looks like Steph Curry was doing when he was at Davidson, man. The same. I remember catching him in the tournament and on championship week when Davidson was playing. Steph Curry's on another level, man. He's making it look real easy. Now, I know the Troy Bell thing was, lower level. That's high school. But it was the same type of thing when I was watching it, though, man. I mean, a guy literally damn near pulling up from half court. And if you try to get up on him, he's going to the rack. And unlike Steph, Bell could actually finish over the top. Dude had like a 40-inch vertical. I remember one time, it was right before all of us were going to college. And I remember we were at another dude's house. And we were down there lifting weights. And I remember Troy, he's like 6'1", maybe like 180 pounds around that time. I'm 6'5", 205 pounds a bit. But we were lifting weights, man. And this dude, he put 250 on the bench press and got it like 6 times. I mean, just incredibly strong, incredibly deep range. Just unfair. Although there were other good players, there was like 11 of us that went Division I that year. And he was one of them, you know what I'm saying? But it was just... It was like the Steph Curry type situation, though. Like the range was just so deep and the handle was so good and the strength. And it's like you couldn't do nothing with the dude. And this is what I'm seeing from Steph Curry in the NBA. It's like you can't do anything with him. Nothing. And he's not even playing the whole game. This dude can average 40 right now if he wanted to. And he's just making it look very easy. Very easy. He's making it look very, very easy. I know Jordan had, was it the 80, I don't have all the stats in front. I think it was the 86 or 87 year when Jordan averaged the 37 points a game on like 50% shooting when he was making it look hellified easy. As far as from just shooting, though, and not playing above the rim, Steph Curry is making it look very easy, man. I don't want to be a prisoner of the moment. I've seen Iverson make it look very easy. So on and so forth. I mean, you can go through the history of the league. You know, Pete Maravich used to make it look easy. But just modern day, from what I'm seeing, Steph Curry is making it look very easy, man, right now. Just watching the games. This is his league right now. You know, I respect LeBron. I respect Kevin Durant and Westbrook and all these other guys. And Westbrook is very explosive. He's very explosive. But with the handle Steph Curry got, man, he got the ball on the string, stutter steps, crossovers, shot fakes, crossover, go past you, bring you back, cross you over again, spin back again, behind the back again, and then pull up for three. Really? But what I will say is check out some Chris Jackson from LSU and when he played for the Nuggets. Look at his shot release and tell me that's not one of the quickest shot release you've ever seen. But props to Steph Curry right now, though, man. This boy is on fire. YTBC, I'm out.